All right, students, you have an assessment today. It's on LT1c on evaluating how the U.S. Constitution establishes individual rights that limit the government. Has the Supreme Court lived up to the promise of the Bill of Rights? And I know your test might not look exactly like this, but it should be very similar. You're going to start with scenario questions. You have 9 of those questions, and then have a question from your research. Has the Supreme Court lived up to the promise of the Bill of Rights? And then your last question we'll get to in a little bit. So you can record your questions here. We're going to go ahead and read the first scenario. Remember, pause this recording as needed. Pause this recording as needed. All right, so don't write on this one. This is your you're going to be used for multiple classes. Scenario 1. Jasmine's family recently moved to Raleigh, North Carolina from Iowa and had packed their .45 caliber pistol. At the time he purchased the handgun in Idaho, Jasmine's father was not aware of Raleigh laws. In fact, right before Jasmine's family moved, the city of Raleigh had adopted a city ordinance that said, "No person shall possess any firearm unless such person is the holder of a valid registration certificate for such firearm." The city ordinance provided it is unlawful for any person to possess any firearm that has been characterized as a pistol, revolver, small arm, or any other weapon commonly known as a handgun. In essence, the Raleigh city ordinance banned handgun possession by all private citizens in Raleigh. One night, her mother was awakened by the sound of breaking glass. She immediately located the .45 caliber pistol kept in the nightstand beside her bed. She proceeded down the stairs, informing any potential intruder that she was ready to use this handgun in defense of her children and home. A burglar ran out the back door, having taken nothing from the home. Jasmine's mother put the pistol on the kitchen table, called 911, and ran upstairs to verify that Jasmine was okay. Minutes later, 2 officers from the Raleigh Police Department arrived at Jasmine's home. During the investigation of the crime scene, one of the officers noticed the handgun on the table. He asked Jasmine's mother about the gun. She told the officer of the family's recent move to Raleigh and that they were unfamiliar with the law. The Raleigh police officer then charged Jasmine's mother with the unlawful possession of a handgun. All right, so you're answering these questions on your other page, but they are, what amendment is this addressing? So it's going to be 1 through either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. And explain evidence from the scenario that shows a connection to the amendment you chose. So basically, why is it that amendment? And was the arrest of Jasmine's mother unconstitutional? Why or why not? Justify your answer. All right, make sure you pause this recording because I'm going on to the next one. You definitely would not have had time to answer those, so definitely pause this and come back. Jeff is at home watching TV when there's a knock at his apartment door. He cracks the door just enough to see 2 police officers standing outside. They step forward and explain they have a feeling that Jeff's sister, Martha Simpson, robbed a local bank and hid the money in Jeff's apartment. The police tell Jeff that they need to search his home. The police told Jeff they needed to search his home. Jeff explains through the crack in the door that he doesn't have a sister and there's no stolen money anywhere on the premises. As Jeff goes to shut the door, one of the officers put her foot in the door to keep him from closing it. She tells Jeff they can come in regardless of what he says. They are the law, after all. This makes Jeff nervous, so he steps back a bit, and while thinking about what to do, the officers push the door open a little further and tell Jeff that things will be much better for him if he goes ahead and moves aside. Jeff is confused and continues to hesitate at the door. Finally, the police officers push past him into the apartment. They begin to go through all his things, dumping drawers on the floor, overturning cushions and furniture, etc. "Just let us look around for a bit. It's better for you this way," they tell him. "You're doing the right thing." After around 30 minutes, they leave with a few boxes from his closet. What amendment is this addressing? Explain evidence from the scenario that shows a connection to the amendment you chose. Are there any circumstances under which this search would have been legal? Explain. All right, remember, pause this recording to go back to your answer sheet. Scenario number 3. Latoya is a bright student who writes a monthly opinion column for the Daily Agitator, the student paper at City of Oaks High School. Recently, the school announced plans to remove all sugary drinks and junk foods from the school's vending machines as part of an initiative to reduce the number of overweight students. Latoya can't believe this and immediately goes to work on an opinion article for the Agitator, denouncing the plans. The last sentence of the article states that if the school really wanted to make a dent in the supposed weight problem at City of Oaks High School, the first step would be to take away the refrigerator from the faculty lounge. The high school policy states the right of students to freely express their opinions in the school newspaper, but that the school reserves the right to reject or require changes to articles. Ms. Hickman, the faculty advisor for the paper, reviews the article, and it can be published. However, when a draft of the newspaper that included Latoya's article is given to Principal Tucker, he becomes very angry. He immediately calls the faculty advisor and urges her to remove the article from the newspaper. Ms. Hickman, who is afraid to challenge the principal, backs off. The article is never published. What amendment is this addressing? Explain evidence from the scenario that shows a connection to the amendment you chose. Were Latoya's rights violated when they refused to publish her article? Justify your answer. All right, make sure you pause this so you can answer on your answer sheet. Remember, your answer sheet might look a little bit different, but it's the same thing. And we're going to go on to the questions based on your research. So make sure you pause if you're not ready for that. And you're mostly looking at this question: has the Supreme Court lived up to the promise of the Bill of Rights? Using the Supreme Court Briefs Organizer and your Supreme Court Cases Note Catcher, answer the following questions in one paragraph each. Your answer must include reference at least 2 court cases each. You cannot cite a case more than once. In the cases you have examined, has the Supreme Court upheld or broken the promise of the Bill of Rights? Make sure to cite at least 2 court cases or 2 cases to support your answer. And if you need more line paper, you can maybe ask for some line paper or pull some out of a notebook. Number 2, are your rights absolute? In other words, do your rights have limits? Explain why or why not they have limits or don't have limits. Make sure to cite at least 2 cases to support your answer. So 2 cases that show that they are absolute or that they have no limits. And you might have some sentence starters here. You could use things like this, like a claim. The promise of the Bill of Rights is blank, either protected or not protected, broken, not broken by the Bill of Rights. The Supreme Court case is a blank, blank, and blank, and you're only required to use 2. Show the current state of the blank amendment. So most people just focused on one amendment, and that's okay. Evidence. The case of blank proves the promise either is or is not protected. So the case of blank versus blank proves the promise blank either is or is not protected. And then that the case name is about. What is it about? Give us a little bit of an idea what it's about. And then how does that show that the promise is protected or not? This case proves that the promise is or is not protected because. And these parts you'll do at least twice, right? 2 different cases. And here's how you really kind of get at that higher level, high school level, level 3 thinking, grade level thinking. As the blank amendment has been interpreted, it could be corrupted. So that would help you get to like what are some weaknesses in it? A possible weakness of how the blank amendment has been interpreted is the way it is now someone could. Those are some good sentence starters for you. So make sure you pause, go back, do what you need to with the recording, and good luck.